Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Greg DeSell from Markertek, and thank you for joining us as part of Markertek's ongoing webinar tech series. As today, our friends at RTS are joining us to talk about the OMNEO OMS Partyline base station system. Before we get going, I want to thank Lindsay at RTS for joining us today and take a moment to point out a few things as we roll along here. We've set aside 30 minutes to go over the key talking points on the OMS system and 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. Please take note of the Q&A section in your Zoom control panel. We welcome your questions. We'll try to answer them during the presentation or at the end in the Q&A session. And for any that we may not get to, we can certainly follow up post-presentation. If you're experiencing any technical issues with the audio and video, please note that in the chat section. Now that we have the general housekeeping out of the way, we're ready to get started. We're super excited to partner with RTS on the OMS OMNEO system. It's going to open up a whole new world of communication opportunities for those in the house of worship spaces, theater and live event, and similar production teams bridging the gap between analog, digital, and so much more. That said, I am glad to introduce today's host and inside sales representative at RTS, Lindsay Gentico. Lindsay brings over 8 years of experience at RTS, and she's going to guide us through the groundbreaking features of the OMS, outlining why this system is a great fit for your facility. Welcome, and thanks for joining us today, Lindsay.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate the time. Thank you all who are joining today. Like Greg said, I am Lindsay Gentico. I'm here with RTS Intercom Systems, and we're going to jump right in and talk about OMS. So what is OMS? OMNEO Main Station. It is the first ever digital party line system. It is the first of our new line that we have officially launched. There's going to be a couple terms that you hear me say on and off throughout today. One is going to be party line. Party line is just point-to-point communication, can be done over wire more often than not. And you're going to hear me say OMNEO. So OMNEO is Bosch's protocol, and it is a Dante base. So it fully works with Dante audio in, audio out, and works with Dante control. So OMS stands for OMNEO Main Station. As you can see here on the screen, it is one rack unit. It has 4 channels on it, and we're going to dive into that more as we go throughout this. So OMS can be used really anywhere. It has comprehensive connectivity. What that means is it can connect wireless products, it can connect party line products, it can connect to matrices if you have that already in place. It can connect to key panels. It is great for house of worship, entertainment, rental houses. There's so many different variations that can be done with this product. The key functionalities is it is an analog main station up to 16 party lines. Has 2 program inputs and a stage announce. Stage announce is something we've had for a long time. It's utilized quite often, so we wanted to make sure we didn't lose that feature. It is able to convert between analog 2-wire party lines, AIO 4-wire, OMNEO, and RBON. It's really one of the first boxes that have the ability to do that in this scale. You don't need additional boxes to do the conversions. It's all software-based. This product can be a standalone ROAMEO base station. ROAMEO is our wireless stacked 1.9 gigahertz system, and you can do 40 devices on this. Supports up to 8 key panels, and that is OMNEO key panels. So you have Dante functionality, and you also have the ability to do RBON, which is our IP technology. And there's 5 different versions to this box. So there's a lot of different variations and things we're able to do and design for you. And we'll get more into that, and I'll take you through each step of this box. It also comes in 3 different headset variants, 4-pin male, 4-pin female, and 5-pin female. So if you have existing equipment already that you're trying to integrate with, and you don't want to get all new headsets, that's fine. We have a solution to make this work for you. Here you see what the front of the panel actually looks like. You can see we have a panel mic connector that just takes a standard gooseneck microphone. You have the 4 channels, 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. Each one has its own volume control. It has a talk, listen, and call button. Each of those buttons will light up for you. So if you're talking, it turns red. If you're listening, it turns green. And if there's a call, it is blue. There's also a color display. This is not touch screen, but there is a color display there for you. There's a lot of different things you can do within that display as well. You can go into the menu, you can change functions on the fly if necessary. And like I said, you can do 16 party lines. So you can actually page through this using the encoders to get to those other party lines presets. There's the main volume control, a keypad, a speaker, and then the headset connector. So if they don't want to be on a mic and listening to the speaker, they can plug directly into this with a headset.
Lindsay, we have a request. Could you make the presentation full screen? I think you have to hit that little green. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
How's that?
That'll do it.
All right. So I'll go back for a second so you guys can look at that again, a little bit more full screen. So again, you have the connector, or I'm sorry, the different channels, your color display, your encoders, speaker, and headset. Here's what the back of the panel looks like. So we have our channels A through D, it takes a standard 3-pin XLR, our program inputs, stage announce, your 4 analog input outputs, GPIOs, a control port, ROAMEO, OMNEO, and SFP provisions. SFP provisions actually allows you to connect via fiber other OMS stations together. So this system isn't just expandable internally, you can add additional ones to it, a total of 8, and all of those would be tie-lined together. So we're going to dig into what the 5 steps of this box looks like. So if you are just looking for an analog main station, you would start off at the analog party line. And what this does is just ties into, let's say, an RTS 2-wire system that is pretty standard in theaters or even for broadcast. The next step up is Analog Plus. Analog Plus allows you to use an analog key panel. A key panel is a 1 rack unit system that has 16 individual keys, and you can tie those to different party lines that you're trying to speak with. We then step up to our Digital Basic. Digital Basic is just OMNEO, so you can do OMNEO devices with 4 OMNEO key panels. There is no 2-wire and no 4-wire on this. It is just for OMNEO. We then move up to our Digital Intermediate, and this is where you start to really get the full grasp of the box. You have the ability to do analog, OMNEO, and ROAMEO. This one will allow you to have up to 20 ROAMEO belt packs. And then we move to the Advanced. The Advanced allows you the full OMNEO capacity plus Arvon, which is the IP technology. You can do 8 OMNEO key panels and 40 ROAMEO belt packs. It is 4 channels of Arvon. So the great thing about Arvon is I can have, say I'm a church and I have multiple different facilities, I can have the OMS box at one location, and then I can have an Arvon key panel at another location and be able to communicate between the two. So I am going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm actually going to switch over. I do have this here where I can show you guys how easy it is to set up and the sound quality. So here with me today, I just have the OMS station. I have an RTS 2-wire power supply, which is the PS20, and the belt pack with a standard PH88 headset. So currently nothing is on. I have the power supply, and I just have my 310 XLR mic cables. And I'm going to plug this into the back here for channel 1 and 2. And then I have it connected into my belt pack. And then I have this programmed in so that it will work with channel 1 and 2 of this main station, the OMS. Power that up here. And currently I have it set to just listen, so you can see what the speaker sounds like. And as you can see, even for somebody who may not know too much about intercom, or they're just looking for a simple solution that isn't overly difficult to put together, this is very simple for them to put together. There's, on the analog side, it doesn't take a lot of programming. So I'm just going to step back for a second so you can hear what this sounds like. So, and then I can go in and I can adjust my volume down just a touch. Everything is to your standard. And then it just went down a touch. So again, very easy to use. It lights up green, so I have it on listen currently. And you'll also see on the first color display line, it says PL01. That just means it's party line 1. And it's green, indicating that it's on listen. If I do red, that will turn red as well, which means I can now talk into this. Very simple, standard, easy to use on that.
And again, that same box is fully upgradable throughout, so you can buy the very basic and through firmware and software updates, expand it as your needs.
Correct. Everything is software upgradable on this box, which is probably the best thing about it. So if you have an existing system or you think you're not going to go to that full digital, but in a couple of years you find yourself needing that ability, you don't have to go out and start all over. You just upgrade this box and add on to what you have.
Nice.
So this here, we're going to go through a couple of diagrams, and it again breaks down each individual step of OMS. So this is OMS analog. It is just showing you the standard, how it ties in. So it's connected to a PS20 and then over to some belt packs that are daisy chained together. And it also has attached a BTR 800 UHF wireless system. So all of this is communicating between these channels. For flawless communication, there's no extra boxes added in, and it's working flawlessly. Then we have our analog plus. You can see we have some of our key panels added in here. These are through tie lines. We have the power supplies and still the wireless program, the wireless base station. So you have 4 analog 2-wire channels, 4 4-wire channels, our conference lines, and 8 tie lines. And then we move to OMS Basic. So again, this is only used for OMNEO. And this is 4 OMNEO key panels. So in here, we're showing our KP4016s. It's just 16 lever keys to be able to program. No analog 2-wire or 4-wire. We also can do up to 20 wired OMNEO devices. So this is a digital belt pack, and we'll be announcing that here soon. But this is a small glimpse of what is coming. Again, this is the first of our digital party line system. So the OMS is the launch of this full system. And as time goes on, we're going to be adding to that. And this digital belt pack will be next. Then we move to our intermediate. Here you can have our wireless ROAMEO belt packs, 20 OMNEO devices, 2-wire, 4-wire, tie lines, conference lines, and OMNEO key panels. The great thing about the intermediate is if you have a need to use ROAMEO for the duct-based system, you have that option on here. You can use it solely as a ROAMEO base station if needed. Also really great for rental houses. They can pack this up, have it pre-programmed, and send it out. Great for house of worship. Also, if you're going out into the field and you need to still be able to do communications, if you're doing a church in the park, it's a great thing to be able to keep communication going. It's light and easily able to move along with you. And then we have OMS Advanced, where you can use the 40 OMNEO devices, the 2-wire, 4-wire, 8 OMNEO key panels, and the 4 Arvon ports as well, which really just expands the functionality even more. So on this, we have an OMS that goes into our OMNEO KP4016s. We have a couple of access points for the ROAMEO that are tied into our belt packs. We have the analog versions of our RTS 2-wire, plus AIO 4-wire for the KP3016s, plus Arvon on key panels as well.
Lindsay, a question came in. Can you mix and match the OMS base station with other brands?
So it does depend on what the brand is. That is a great question. So if you're tying into a wired party line system of another brand, it will work, such as ClearCom. It can do the conversions in there. It will not work with just anything and everything, but with a standard 2-wire or 4-wire party line system, you can tie it in, and it will do the conversions internally.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. And to add on to that a little bit, within the OMS, there are feature sets that you would actually go in and tell it if it's talking to RTS, if it's talking with AudioCom, or if it's talking with ClearCom. All of those settings are internally. Once you adjust those, it knows what it's talking to, and the conversions are done automatically for you. This is up on Markertek's website. It is under their files, so you can go get this as well, so you can see what each individual OMS box does. Again, this is just one box. It is software upgradable. So if you start at the Analog Plus and decide down the line that you want Intermediate, it is just a software upgrade to upgrade that box. Again, this is showing ROAMEO as a base station. This is a really great solution, especially in the world that we're in now with the UHF congestion that we have. This is another additional product that you can put out there and use flawlessly. It works wonderful. The sound quality is there. And here on this slide, it actually shows what that ROAMEO belt pack looks like. So you can see it's similar to the OMS, where it has that front color display. So there's no guessing of who's on what channel. You have that right here for you. There's still the talk and listen keys. There's the call waiting, the volume keys. This does have a 510 XLR. There are no other headset options on that, so I will make sure to note that. There's also a USB port on the back, which is how all of the firmware upgrades are completed. So again, really great solution, especially if you're in an area that is UHF congested, or if you have a lot of other wireless mics that may be hard to coordinate around. This will not interfere with those systems. This does use a specific codec. It is the G722. The G722 is the only codec that you can use on OMS, and that allows you to have 5 belt packs to 1 access point. So how this would work is you have your OMS, which is then connected via OMNEO to your access point. Your access point would then, your belt packs would then be registered to specific access points. If you have multiple access points around your facility, this box will roam and go between them as needed. So if it does leave range of an access point, it will bounce over to another one so that you don't lose communication. This system is very scalable. It is versatile. It works with older products as well. So again, if you have existing equipment already in place, we don't have to redesign everything. we can just start getting you in the steps of upgrading your technology. The audio quality is superior to analog because we have that digital side of things now. We're bridging standards. We can go from analog to digital. So you can have a wired belt pack talking to a wireless DEC device without a ton of additional equipment to make that work. Plus, we have this on the OMNEO ecosystem. OMNEO is a huge part of RTS. We know that Dante is a huge factor for a lot now. There's a lot of different things that we can do with that. So we did want to make sure that we're moving in that direction so that our products are future-proof for you. So again, I want to thank you all for taking the time. If there's questions or anything that we can clarify, the floor is yours.
Right off the bat, we do have a question.
All right.
What is the range of the AP 1800s?
The AP 1800s, of course, there's going to be variations depending on structures and other devices, but it is approximately 900 feet clear line of sight.
Okay, and then I know your sample system had the PS20 power station. But what is the typical range in terms of cabling if you're setting a system up using those?
So if you're on a two-wire system of some sort, general range is approximately 750 feet. For cabling lengths going from a power supply to a belt pack, we don't really recommend to go over 100 feet because of the audio loss, but you can continue to daisy chain downline. If you do find that you're getting a lot of audio loss, you can add in another power supply to keep that going so that you don't lose audio downline.
Gotcha. And then if we have customers who have existing systems or new systems, do you guys handle any kind of system design assistance?
We can certainly help with system design. We understand this is a new box. We will ask all the questions of what we need specifically, and then we will help you design it from the ground up to make sure you have every part that is needed.
Okay, so a bunch of other questions are coming in, which is good to see. How do you communicate with Dante?
It is Dante Control. I can find out more. Greg, if we could table that one, I can get specifics from our engineering team of how they do that. I know it is full Dante in and out, and it's AES 67 as well. And once the Dante controller is downloaded, they're able to communicate through our internal systems as well. But I can get more additional information from our engineering team.
Okay. Is there support for SMPTE 2110, which I think is usually AES 67, but I don't know, maybe John would tell us. That's John Wood asking that question.
So SMPTE 2110, that's a really great question. We're still moving in that direction. Anything that we are doing, we are making sure that we're involved with everything that is going on with SMPTE 2110. Again, we make sure these systems are future-proof. It is not 100% completed yet, but the idea is to be 100% SMPTE 2110 very soon.
Okay. Another question in here, is this using standard Ethernet switches?
It can use power over Ethernet for digital packs and for the access points, but that is the furthest. The standard cabling, if you're going, say, from an analog key panel to OMS, it's a standard RJ45.
Question here says, what about fiber to the access points? I'm not exactly sure.
You can use fiber to get to the access points. You can do that with a single SFP. You can also use a switch in between as well.
Okay.
Yes, it will allow fiber.
Can it support telephone users calling in, for example, a remote camera operator calling in to hear cues?
You can use what's called a TIF 2000. It is a telephone interface. It will allow you to do 1 or 2 lines, which is also why we have the keypad on the front of the OMS.
Okay. Just make sure there's getting questions in from the chat as well as the Q&A.
Sure.
Do you have any capability for connecting remote stations over the internet? I think it does, right?
I need you to expand on that question a little bit further, if you can, of what exactly you're trying to do. So if you are trying to go from location to, say, somebody who may be on a computer that you want to communicate with, this system would not be the correct one. That would be the next step up, using an Odin. And that would actually be using a program called VLink.
Okay. I don't know if that answered your question, Mr. Souter, but if not, feel free to expand upon it. All right. Any other questions before we cover the final pieces of the presentation? I don't think, doesn't look like it at the moment. A couple of things to note for any Markertek customers. If you head out to the Markertek website and you're viewing any of the pages here for this system, you can just do an RTS OMS search. All the products are listed there, but you're going to find that each of these is not orderable on the web. You have to call into a sales representative to complete your system, and that's where we were asking questions of Lindsay, whether we need to do system design or integration with other pieces of the puzzle. So we'll help you out on that, but you can't just jump on the web and order it. You can note, though, there is some videos available up here on the product pages, as well as data sheets, including the manual and some other information. Some of the product images also will show you the breakdowns that we had in today's presentation. Also note that internally here at Markertek, Michael Pinelli is the RTS product champion. He has been trained on the OMS, so he could also help you out as an insider here and get you any other information you might need. I think with that, let me just see if there's any other questions to have come in. I don't see any others. I want to thank you all for joining us today. And again, reach out to anybody on our sales staff, particularly Mike Pinelli, if you need help individually. But want to also thank Lindsay for joining us today and our friends at RTS. We appreciate the support. Thank you all for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
Lindsay.
me. Thank you all.